On with the story! On with the story! Tell us a story! Tell us a story! Tell us a story! Have a drink of water first. Lovely. So, what's in the box today? I wonder. I bet during lockdown you've all grown long beards, which is excellent for storytelling. So let's do this all together. Grab that beard. I wonder. Okay, here we go. My favourite part of the day. What's in the box today? Oh, it's not so creaky today. That's bizarre. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, no. It's empty. The box is empty. I'm really sorry about this. I don't have a story to tell you. This has never happened before. Actually, it has. Just once some time ago. It was really embarrassing, but look, I tell you what, I don't have a story, so I'll tell you about what happened when I last ran out of a story, if that's okay. I hope that is permissible. I'm sorry. I am very emotional today. Well, I was once rowing off the coast of Scotland. In fact, I wasn't rowing at all. I just felt like doing this, yeah. I was sitting in my ship, this ship here, the Fluffy Daffodil. Now, the Fluffy Daffodil was given to me by my granddad. My granddad was called Captain Andromedus Silverbeard, and that's actually where I got my name from, Andy. As everyone knows, Andy is short for Andromedus. So my granddad, Captain Andromedus Silverbeard, who was actually a pirate, gave me this ship, this one here. He also gave me this box, yeah. And he also gave me my love of stories. So there I was, bobbing away in my granddad's boat, the Fluffy Daffodil. I wasn't rowing, I was just doing this. I was doing my Pilates. Maybe my Pirates instead. And the boat was bobbing along on the water. There was a slight breeze. In fact, can you all out there, all of you who are listening right now, can you please go towards your television screens, please? Like that. And the boat was just bobbing along while I was pretending to row it, like that. Yeah. And I was looking for something. I was looking for the Ficus Wishes. Now, as you all know, those that do Latin, you'll know that the Ficus Wishes is actually the fish that gives you a wish, or sometimes it gives you 3 wishes. Not that I wanted a wish, because we all know, if we've learned anything over these 40 stories, you've learnt that you should never ever trust anything or anyone or any monster that offers you a wish. Or you've got to be careful what you wish for. We all know that. So I was just looking, I was doing a bit of research. I wanted to find out, did this fish really exist? I also wanted to find out if it was friendly or aggressive. Because if it was aggressive, I was going to call it the Vicious Wishes. But instead, I thought, no, I'll just call it the Ficus Wishes. Maybe it's called Aloysius. Who knows? Anyway, that's what I was doing off the coast of Scotland in the Fluffy Daffodil, doing this. With the breeze, whoosh, and the water, bobbity, 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 bob. Everything was fine. The sun was shining. I didn't actually really want to catch the fish. It was just an excuse to enjoy the sun, to enjoy the smell of the sea. I love the smell of the sea. Bobbity, 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 bob. Everything was fine. Everything was sunny. I was in a really, really good mood. But then all of a sudden, everything went quiet. The wind dropped completely. Like that. No wind at all. The sky went grey. And the sea went as flat as a mirror. Yeah. My boat, the Fluffy Daffodil, wouldn't budge at all. I could still make up the coast of Scotland, but there weren't any waves. There was no breeze. and it looked like it was about to get all thundery and lightning-y, but nothing happened. The sky was all the same colour. You might remember from the story The Princess and the Pea, I talked about the weather being a bit sulky. Well, this was worse than a sulky sky. This was a stubborn sky. This was a sky that was saying, I'm not going to do anything at all. So I couldn't move. But I didn't mind. I was on holiday. That was fine. But on the horizon, I saw something coming towards me. And I thought, well, that's odd. That's odd. It looks a bit big to be a rowing boat. And if it was a sailing ship, how on earth can it move? There's absolutely no breeze whatsoever. And it was coming towards me quite quickly. And I didn't know what to think of this, but I thought, well, we'll wait and see. I wonder. But it came faster and closer and nearer to me. And eventually, I could make out that it was a ship with a very tall mast, and the sails of the ship were black. And I noticed that on top of the mast was a flag. The Jolly Roger. Oh no! These were pirates. But I know what you're thinking. But your granddad's a pirate. Surely you're not scared of pirates. You're not scared of pirates. He's scared of pirates. He's scared of pirates. Well, no, I'm not scared of pirates. But there was something a bit weird about this ship. A little bit strange. A little bit uncanny, as they say. Why was this ship able to move so fast towards me when I couldn't even budge in the water? And it got closer still. And now I could read the name of the ship, and oh no! It was the Sea Terror. The Sea Terror, the most feared ship in all the 7 seas. Because as everyone knows, the Sea Terror belongs to no one else but Captain Black Jack Mulligan. He's called Black Jack Mulligan because his beard is so black. It's the colour of night. It's so dark it can absorb all light around it. His beard is like a huge black hole. He is so fearsome. His beard is so big it's the size of a football pitch. And I tell you, my friends, I tell you, small woodland creatures get lost in his beard because it's so vast. And birds make their nests in his beard. I heard once that a pterodactyl flew down and landed and made a nest in his beard. And that ship was coming towards me at a rate of knots. That means very, very fast for less nautical people. And as it got closer and closer and closer, I could see some of his feared crew. And at the front was Crab-Claw McGraw, and Squid-Face Malloy, and Shark-Tooth Peterson, and Little Billy Cupcake, who just laughed demonically in the background. And there were far more whom I got to know a little bit later on. But for the moment, I could just see these faces, and my goodness me, I was scared. But at the prow of the ship of the Sea Terror, there stood Black Jack Mulligan with his huge beard, fluttering in the wind, except there was no wind. How did it happen? How did it work? I was scared, my friends. I really was scared. So this time I really did grab the oars and I started to row as fast as I could. Yes, I know I sound a bit like a donkey doing this, but I was scared, and I didn't care if I sounded like a donkey. And I rowed faster and faster and faster, and I rowed so fast that smoke started coming off. There's a word for it, and I can't think of what the word is, where the oar hits the rest of the boat like this. Because friction, my friends, friction was great, and smoke started burning off, and eventually my oars caught fire and they burnt to nothing. I'll prove it. Here they are right now. And I couldn't get away. The ship came closer and closer, and I could see the twinkle in Black Jack Mulligan's eye. Ha 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 ha! And the demonic laugh of Little Billy Cupcake was in my ears. As he rubbed his hands together, Crab-Claw McGraw rubbed his hands together and instantly lost a finger. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? The Sea Terror pulled up beside me, and the crew grabbed a huge net and they threw it over me. and over the Fluffy Daffodil, my granddad's ship, and over my treasure chest, my box. And they were rubbing their hands together and they pulled me in. "Ha ha ha! Looks like we caught some treasure here," said Captain Black Jack Mulligan. I was petrified. I was nervous. I was shaking like a leaf. Like this. "Oh dear, oh dear." And the pirates were more interested in this. They tied me up to the mast. My hands were behind me like this. And they opened up my treasure chest. But when they looked inside and they found bits of string or rope or spoons or feathers or lumps of wood or hats, lots and lots of hats, they all spat like this. "This doesn't deserve to be in a treasure chest. This is rubbish. Throw him overboard, mates. Throw him to the sharks." And even though my hands were tied, I could glance over the side of the ship, the Sea Terror, and I could see there was a whole load of sharks surrounding me. They were all going in an anti-clockwise direction. They were swimming Widdershins. And if they could have, these sharks, they would have been rubbing their hands together as well. And they would have been salivating at the mouths as well. "Throw him to the sharks," said Black Jack Mulligan. "This is not treasure." And I said, "Actually, Captain Black Jack Mulligan, I'll have you know, this is treasure. This is my treasure. My granddad, who was a pirate, by the way, and he was called Captain Andromeda Silverbeard, my granddad said whatever I put inside the box would be treasure. Anything at all. I could put a shell in there and it'll become treasure. I could put a stone in there and it will become treasure. I can put a feather in there and it will become treasure. Who are you to say that I haven't got treasure in my box?" Well, this seemed to befuddle him. This seemed to confuse him. "Huh?" He scratched his head, and the rest of the crew scratched their heads. "Huh? What's he talking about? But this isn't treasure, this isn't gold or silver, this stuff is worthless." And I said, "It's not worthless, it might be worthless to you, but this is treasure to me. If I can prove to you, my good man, if I can prove to you that this really is treasure, will you let me stay alive? Will you not feed me to those very hungry-looking sharks down there?" "Oh, I'll think about it," said Black Jack Mulligan as he stroked his massive beard, and lots of woodland creatures came out, and a pterodactyl just flew off into the mist. There was no mist. Into the mists. I don't know. He's still flying around the world as we speak. "Well, if you can prove to me that this ain't treasure, maybe I'll let you live just a little bit longer." And I said, "That's great, but you'll have to untie me first." "Crabclaw, undo the ropes." And Crabclaw, snip through the ropes, and I was free. Oh, like that. That's a little bit stiff. "Okay, I will prove to you that the stuff in this box is not rubbish. I will prove to you that it really, really, really is treasure. You see, what I have in here are stories." "Stories?" said Black Jack Mulligan. "What use is a story to pirates?" And I said, "Stories are useful to everyone. Everyone needs a story. I can't think of anything worse than being a human being without a story." And he scratched his head, and his crew scratched their head, and they scratched their beards. Maybe he's got a point. We ain't got anything better to do, have we, shipmates? Let's listen to one of his stories. But if it's no good, we'll chuck him overboard." said little Billy Cupcake. And the sharks licked their lips. We're about to be fed. So I started to tell my stories. And I told stories of all kind of goings on. I told stories about silly kings. Silly kings whose feet smell because they don't take baths, or silly kings that try to reach the moon. I told stories about boys that climb up trees and get turned into koala bears. I told stories about little birds, little chickens that get hit by an acorn. Ow, the sky's falling. I told stories about strange little fairies called the Feetwater Fairies, who sound a bit like Little Billy Cupcake. I told stories about people with dubious accents. Oh, fiddly diddly hoy, I don't know where I am. I don't know, my accent's going up and down all over the place and round and round and round. I told stories about goats, queen of the goats. I told stories from Russia, stories about witches with iron teeth. I told stories about strange beings with 3 iron bands around their waist. Bashalik. Da, da, da. I told stories about fish and fishermen and magic wishes. I told stories about very, very silly people. My goodness me. And people that put cows on top of roofs. And I also told stories about princesses in towers and people who have to reach out and grab things. And the pirates, well, they listened. And they laughed in all the right places. And they cried in all the right places. And every time I finished, they wanted another story. And I got to know the crew really well. And they felt like friends to me. I got to know Pia Pirato and his devilishly fine smile. I got to know Sea Cow Sydney, a slightly large pirate. Barney Schnibblobble, who was very, very mixed up indeed. Old Captain Fishleg, who had fish for legs, and he would also surf on the back of a kipper. Yeah. Avion and his 7-cornered hat. John the Jellyfish. Bootlegs Beth. Scullen, who's all bones and no meat. And there's Two-Legged Pete. What's wrong with Two-Legged Pete, you're saying? His legs were both made of masts. They were both made of wood. Pinchus Plank. Oh, Pinchus Plank, the old trickster. And of course, last but not least, Scallops, the cabin boy. All of these pirates I felt had become my friends. And I told my stories for 40 days. And for 40 days and 40 nights, I felt like part of their crew. But on the 41st day, I open up the box. And it was empty. And the moment that happened, it was as if the spell was broken. I didn't have anything to say. I tried to make one up on the spur of the moment. Once upon a time, there was once a... And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I was panicking. And at that point, the pirates, they grabbed hold of me. Not one of those pirates was my friend. They'd all become pirates again. Bloodthirsty, blood-curdling pirates. And they grabbed hold of me by the collar of my shirt, by my belt, and they threw me overboard to those hungry sharks swimming Widdershins around the sea terror. And they also threw my box overboard. And my boat, the Fluffy Daffodil, was no more. I meant to say ages ago they'd snapped that up and thrown it away for driftwood. Well, luckily for me, my granddad had not only given me my name, Andromedus, after his name, Captain Andromedus Silverbeard. Not only had he given me his ship, the Fluffy Daffodil, not only had he given me this, and not only had he given me my love of stories, but he had also given me the ability to talk to sharks. A shark sounds a little bit like a dolphin mixed with a T-Rex. Anyway, I had a quick conversation with the sharks, and I explained to them that I was a storyteller. And anyway, it turned out that all these sharks that were swimming Widdershins around the Sea Terror, they were actually vegan, but they hadn't let on to Captain Blackjack Mulligan. So I got away from the sharks, and luckily, I'm quite a good swimmer, and luckily I held onto the box, which, because it was empty, it floated and it bobbed on the water. So by the time I grabbed hold of this, and by the time I'd had a little conversation with these sharks, in shark language, the sea terror had gone far, far away into the distance. I really still don't know to this day how it managed to travel so quickly, even when there was no wind. But I held onto this, and I swam for another 2 days and another 2 nights, and eventually I reached land. But I reached a place I was unfamiliar with. This wasn't Scotland, no. I didn't know where I was at all. I was just on a beach, and I was wet, and I was cold, and I was thirsty, and I was so hungry. And I realised I had nothing to eat, and I had no money. But worse than all of that, I felt ashamed with myself because, my friends, I'd run out of stories. Well, in a situation like this, I start to think very hard about one thing, about stories, and I look around me and I try and find an object which might spark off a story. And I looked around and I could see nothing. I could see nothing at all which made me think of a story, and I didn't know what to do. But then I realised I was on a beach covered in small pebbles. I picked up a pebble off the beach and thought, well, that's interesting. I've never told a story about a pebble. I've never told a story about a stone. So I took the stone and I put it in my pocket and I went on my way. And as I was walking along, my tummy was rumbling away. But I was ignoring my tummy because I had to think about stories. I need a story. And why not do a story about a stone? There must be a story about a stone. And I just couldn't think of one. I couldn't think of one at all. Well, eventually I walked past a field. And in that field, there was a farmer ploughing it up. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. He was working very, very hard indeed, this farmer. Backwards and forwards. And he was ploughing up the ground. And as he ploughed, every couple of feet he pulled out a stone, a great big stone, round about this size, that size, and they all seem to be roughly the same size. Every 2 foot, regular stones, like this. And I was watching this, fascinated. Who would grow stones in their field, I thought. How bizarre, how bizarre. And after watching him for about 2 hours, he stopped what he was doing. And he called over to me, "Ahoy there!" By the way, as everyone knows, all farmers sound a bit like pirates. "Ahoy!" And I can only do the one voice. "Ahoy there!" said this farmer. "What you staring at, eh?" I'm just fascinated, watching you work. "Well, it's putting me off," said the farmer in a slightly grumpy tone. "What's so fascinating about me ploughing a field?" "Well, it's the fact that you're ploughing up stones. Why have you been growing stones in your field? Who wants stones to eat?" "Are you from the city or something?" said the farmer. "Don't you know what these is?" And I looked at these stones, of course, and I said, "They're stones, aren't they?" And he said, "No, these ain't stones, you absolute city dweller." He could have said something much worse then, but luckily he didn't. "You absolute city dweller. These ain't stones. These is something called sugar beet." "Sugar beet?" "Yeah, it's a crop. We feed it to all kind of cattle and stuff like that." And I looked closely and I thought they really, really look like stones. They don't look like a crop. But I was really embarrassed. I went bright red, that red, and I walked away saying, "Have a good day, thank you." Sugar beets. What's a sugar beet? I thought. I must look that one up a bit later on. I know, I'll ask Verity Google at some point. But I was walking away thinking, well, that's kind of interesting, because I thought they were stones, and what if this farmer really were growing stones in his field? Wouldn't that be amazing? And then my mind started going off on tangents like it tends to do. Who would eat stones? I think dinosaurs used to swallow stones, didn't they? Maybe Jack could confirm that. I think they did swallow stones to help their digestion. And maybe dragons eat stones as well. Then I thought, I know who eats stones. Trolls and ogres, they love eating stones. And giants, yeah, mountain giants. Then I tried to imagine a family of mountain giants with a big sack of rocks on their backs. And when it's dinner time, they slam the bag of rocks onto the table, and the table just judders like this. And they open up the sack and they take these big rocks and these boulders and they put them in their mouths and they eat the rocks until they grind them up into tiny bits of gravel, and little bits of sand and grit spill out into their beards. Yeah, all giants have beards. Even the women giants have beards, just like gnomes. Little grit bits like this fall into their beard. And I was really excited about this. I was thinking, yes, this is good. A story's nearly there. A story's nearly there. Mountain giants eating stones. They ask a farmer to grow them. Maybe they start off as pebbles in the ground like this. Maybe he plants little pebbles and they grow into great big rocks. Hey, maybe. And I couldn't help thinking about these stones. And I almost walked past the castle. What castle, you're asking? The castle just over there. Can you see it? It's just out of the camera's view. Just over there. Great big castle. Yeah. I would have walked past this castle if my tummy hadn't been so hungry it suddenly called out, "Feed me! Me so hungry! Feed me right now! Tummy, 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 hungry hippo! Feed me right now!" Boop! Well, at this point I realised how hungry I was, and I looked up and I could see the castle, and actually coming from the castle was a smell of cooking. Yeah, that sort of slightly school dinnery kind of smell. Not the best smell in the world, but it does make you feel hungry. Yeah. And apologies to any school cooks out there, because I know some of you do cook excellent meals, but sometimes the stuff that gets delivered can sort of niff a little bit, can't it? Yeah. Anyway, this smell was doing this. I don't suppose any of you remember that advert where a little certain smell, I won't do any product placement here, but a certain smell went underneath the noses like this, and and it smelled so good. And to me, the smell coming from this castle did smell so good. And I realised how hungry I was, and my stomach was going bonkers at this point. "Feed me, I'm so hungry! Hungry hippo, feed me right now!" So I walked up to the door of the castle. And of course, the door was locked. And I was about to knock on the door when the doors creaked open. Please, all of you, help me do the creaking noise, because my box seemed to have stopped creaking. And suddenly, out of the castle came what looked like a bag of bones and rags. But it wasn't a bag of bones and rags. It was a very, very thin beggar man. Yeah. He was so skinny. His skin was pale. He had grey bags under his eyes. His cheeks were so hollow. His clothes were all raggedy, rawny. He was in a much worse state than I was. A much worse state. But I went up to the beggar and I could hear the doors behind him close. Like that. And I went up to the beggar and I said, "Excuse me, sir, excuse me. I can see you've hit hard times as well. I've hit hard times. I have no money. I have no food. And I'm starving. My stomach won't shut up. Feed me! Do you hear that?" "Oh, yes," said the beggar. "Is there anywhere in that castle where people like you and me might get a free meal? I'm so hungry." And the beggar just looked at me with his very sad eyes and he said, "I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. You'll never, ever get food from that castle. No, you'll never get food from the castle, because you see, the kitchen is ruled over by the king's top chef, and his name is, dare I say it, his name is Waffle Sweat. Waffle Sweat? Yes, Waffle Sweat. And he's the king's top chef, and he's so horrible. He's so mean. He's as mean as a snake who's lost his pocket money. He won't even give me a turnip peeling or a potato peeling. He's so mean. He's so mean. You'll never get food from him. Well, at this point, I felt quite angry. I felt angry about Waffle Sweat. I felt angry about the poor beggar. And I wanted to prove the beggar wrong. So I reached into my pocket as if by instinct, and I pulled out that little pebble. And I knocked loudly on the castle door. Although, as everyone knows, in a story you must always knock like this. And you have to do that right now on your laps. And who should open the door but the scariest, creepiest looking chef I've ever seen. He looked more like a troll. What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Waffle Sweat, Waffle Sweat, Waffle Sweat. What are you doing? Go away! Go away! Go away! Waffle Sweat, Waffle Sweat, Waffle Sweat. Go away! There's no food to give to you. Oh, no, 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 no. We don't do charity here. Waffle Sweat, Waffle Sweat, Waffle Sweat. Go away! No beggars allowed. No beggars allowed. Waffle Sweat. Waffle Sweat, I said. Keep your hair on. I've not come begging for food. No. I've got all the food I need right here in my pocket. Bing. Sorry. Bing. This is a magic stone. This stone here contains all the tastes of the whole world. Heavily, heavily condensed into this stone. With this stone, I can actually make the finest stone soup you've ever tried. Stone soup? Stone soup? There ain't no such thing as stone soup. Listen, I've had soup what is brewed from a root, and I've had soup what is brewed from a bone. But in all my years as the king's top chef, I've never had soup from a stone. And I've had soup what is brewed from croutons, and I've had soup what is served on its own. But in all my life as the king's top chef, I've never had soup from a stone. And I've had soup what comes from Paris, and I've had soup what comes from Rome, but in all my years as the king's top chef, I've never had soup from a stone. Right then, I'll tell you what, I'll make a bet with you. I bet you can't make soup from a stone, alright? If you can, I'll let you have a bowl full. But if you don't manage to make soup from the stone... Oh, sorry everyone. Don't worry, little bit of mild peril coming up. Mild peril. Oh, how silly. How silly of me. If you don't manage to make soup from a stone, I'm going to chop off your head and stick it in the casserole dish to make soup from your head. Okay, so here's my cooking pot. I think you can see it now. There's my cooking pot. What else do you need? I need some water. All right then, hang on. I'm just going to have to put my nose down while I do this. Water. Glug, 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 glug. So we got water, we got a pot. What else do you need? Some heat, please. Okay, here's some heat. Right then. Now you make me stone soup right now. And like I say, if it's good, you can have a bowl full. If it's horrible or it just tastes like stony water, then I will make soup from your head. All right? Deal. Deal. Well, my friends, I took the stone, the pebble, and I plopped it in the water. And I waited for the water to come to the boil. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited. I waited for a whole hour. And during that hour, even though my tummy was rumbling, Waffle Sweat was getting very, very anxious. Oh, give me my soup. I want my soup right now. Give it to me. I want stone soup. Let me try. Well, after 1 hour, I thought, let's give it a test. So I borrowed his ladle and I took some of the soup and, oh, Waffle Sweat, you won't believe it. You won't believe it. It tastes better than ever before. Waffle Sweat, this is amazing. It tastes so good. Let me try. But hang on, Waffle Sweat. It's just missing one thing. It could actually just do with some salt. Do you have any salt? Preferably truffle salt. Truffle salt. That's my cousin, truffle salt. But yeah, I'll get some truffle salt. Kitchen minions, throw me some truffle salt. So the kitchen minions, the people that worked for Waffle Sweat, they brought him some salt, and I took just a pinch of the salt and I popped it in and I stirred it around and I waited another 5 minutes. Eventually, oh, that's worked perfectly. Waffle Sweat, it's ready. It's nearly ready. It could just do with one more thing. Waffle Sweat, have you got a stock cube? Or preferably some vegetable bouillon? Vegetable bouillon? Yeah, kitchen minions, vegetable bouillon, right now, quick! And the minions brought some vegetable bouillon, and again, I just put a little peck of bouillon into the hot water. 5 minutes later, oh, Waffle Sweat, this is incredible. It tastes so good. Well, let me try some. But wait. My palate is so refined, it's just saying it needs some black pepper. Can you ask your kitchen minions to bring me some black pepper? Black pepper! And the kitchen minions brought some the kitchen minions brought some black pepper, and I sprinkled a little bit of that in. I'm talking garbage again now, aren't I? And I stirred it, and 5 minutes later, oh, Waffle Sweat, this is incredible. But it just needs something else. Hey, have you got any ideas? You lot out there, have you? So, hang on. Can you throw them to me? Throw them through the camera. That's it. Oh, what's that? Cauliflower. Throw the cauliflower. Whee! Oh, brilliant! Some black and green olives. Brilliant! Sunflower roots. Woo! Yes! Nettle leaves. Yes! Dandelion petals. Yes! Strawberries and raspberries. Excellent idea. Sugar worms. What's that? I don't care. Earthworms. Brilliant! Slugs and their brains. Whoa! Smelly old cheese. Yes! Ancient fish bones. Yes! Deer droppings. Yeah, why not? And finally, hedgehog spikes. Yes! And my goodness me, I gave that a good stir and... oh, Waffle Sweat. The soup is ready. Finally, the soup is ready. Oh, give me some right now. And this time, I actually let Waffle Sweat try the soup. Oh, I better do that with a hat on, eh? Because I can't do it with the nose. He didn't think that one through, did he? Oh, my goodness me. This is the best soup I've ever tried in my entire life. I've had soup what makes me grumble, and I've had soup what makes me moan. But in all my life, as the King's top chef, I've never had soup from a stone. This soup here, what you have made, is absolutely delicious. It is delectable. It is delightful. I love it. Can I please buy that stone off you, please? Waffle Sweat, I don't know. I'd like to sell you that stone, but it's actually a family heirloom. I've had it in my family for years and years and years. I can't really part with it. It's really special to me. Oh please, oh pretty please, I'll give you anything for that stone. It is so yummy scrumptious. Okay, Waffle Sweat, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. You can have the stone for free on one condition. Yeah, anything. Well, if ever another beggar comes to your door and knocks asking for food, you must bring them into your kitchen, let them sit down, let them warm themselves up by the fire, wash their feet, and then you're to bring them some food. Okay? Do you agree? Oh, yes. Now can I have the stone? And I picked the stone out, which was a little bit hot, and I gave it to Waffle Sweat. Oh, yippee-yay, a magic stone. I can cook stone soup. Oh, I'm so pleased. And straight away, Waffle Sweat filled up a little bowl, his favourite pink bowl as well, with the delicious stone soup. And he brought it down to that beggar who was still there waiting at the doorway. Here you are, my friend. I'm so sorry I chucked you out of the kitchen and the castle earlier. Please forgive me. And from that day on, Waffle Sweat was true to his word. If ever a beggar came knocking at the gates of the castle, I better put that down there. If ever a beggar came knocking at the gates of the castle, Waffle Sweat would bring him into the kitchen, let him or her warm up by the fire, wash their feet, remembering always to throw away the foot water, and then would offer the beggar a delicious bowl of stone soup. And do you know what? Every time he made that dish of stone soup, the taste always changed just slightly, depending on what mood the kitchen minions were in that day. And as for me, well, I left that castle with 3 things. I had a full and happy tummy. I had a change of luck. But most importantly of all, I had a brand new story to tell. Well, my friends, this has been excellent knowing you all. I've really enjoyed it. 40 stories have gone by just like that in my brain. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, if you've enjoyed the stories and you would like to listen to them again, they're all being put on Facebook. Not on Facebook, they're already on Facebook. Duh! They're all going on YouTube. And there will be a link on our website to that YouTube channel. Okay, so you'll be able to watch all 40 again at any time you wish to. But thank you so much for listening. I've really enjoyed this, and I'm going to miss you all, and I'm going to miss telling stories, but I am going to have a cup of tea and a bourbon biscuit at 4 o'clock from now on. Thank you so much. Stay well, stay safe, stay healthy, look after each other. TTFN. Bye.